There we go. So thanks for joining the Year 5 Meet the Teacher evening. The teacher is, of course, Mr. Nixon, who is going to take you through some slides, hopefully give you an overview about what you can expect in Year 5, what your children can expect, and some information about the curriculum as well. Additionally, there'll be an opportunity at the end to ask any questions. You can post those questions in chat and we'll pick them up at the end, or you'll have the opportunity to come off mute at that point too. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Joe Nixon.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining this evening. Apologies, I don't usually look this pale, but I've got a new bulb in the light here and it's a bit bright. So if you see me on the playground, hopefully I don't look this ghostly pale. Anyway, thank you very much for joining. Quite a few slides to get through. If I'm talking too fast, please let Craig know, and I'll slow down. And if you have any additional questions that you don't want to ask tonight, feel free to grab me at any point. I'm usually out on the playground first thing in the morning. So yeah, well, without further ado, in terms of today's agenda, we're just going to briefly go through the school's aims, values, and rules. A few pictures of our new classroom. I'll then take you through our timetable, information about PE, homework, reading, and indeed kind of wider curriculum. So just to reiterate our school aims, happy children up to succeed. In terms of class dojo, giving out dojos or taking dojos away, they tend to be around responsibility, integrity, respect, independence, cooperation, and determination. And any praise is linked back to those or our school rules: ready, respectful, safe. So that's aligned with our class dojo and awards being given out. As I said then, respectful, ready, and safe. So as I mentioned, that's how dojos are given out. A few pictures of our classroom. It is quite a small classroom. We're trying to make the most of the space. I have actually spent some time this afternoon after school rearranging the tables with Craig. Thank you very much for your help. We're trying to make use of as much technology in the classroom as we can. Make sure that the children get an opportunity to work with different people. As you can see, they already managed to squeeze in some VR last week, and indeed Chromebooks, which is something that we'll do more of as we move through this year. Brief overview of our weekly timetable. So every day we have time for things like corrections, any additional support that pupils might need from time to time, specific time for that. Spelling 3 times a week, as well as a weekly session on Spelling Shed. Time to read our class novel above and beyond what we do in English as well. And usually this is how our timetable will look. So French and History Monday, Science and Art Tuesday, PSHE, PE Wednesday, PE and Computing Thursday, and RE and Geography on Friday. There is the odd occasion where things do get moved around. If we need a piece of equipment that we don't have access to, we might juggle things around. PE and Thursday on Wednesday and Thursday, our main thing to point out here. So is there a question there? I'm not sure if there is a question. If there is, feel free to pop it in the chat. I'm not sure if someone's trying to say something to me. If you are, it's not coming through clearly. If you're not,
Mr. Nixon, it was I've just put somebody on mute. I think it was some background noise.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, this just gives you a general overview of what we're doing day to day. Currently, TT Rockstars is done paper-based, just so I can get a grip of where people are. Then we'll move on to kind of more web-based stuff. But yeah, that's been the biggest question for most of the children since coming back. When can we get on to TT Rockstars on the Chromebooks in class? Not for the next few weeks. Plenty of time to do that in their own time at home. Same with Spelling Shed. Plenty of time to do that as well. In terms of PE, PE kit should come in on Monday. It should stay in school all week, and it should go home every Friday. Our PE days are Wednesday and Thursday. Homework is set on Fridays and is due back the following week, anytime between Friday. So they don't have to, doesn't have to come back on Monday. Plenty of opportunity to do that through the week. It should involve also, if possible, there should be 10 minutes of reading time at home as well. The children do get ample time in class to read, providing they're not catching up on corrections or doing the odd reflection that we might do a day after. And homework will always include at least one piece of mathematics and one piece of English. And we will also have a termly topic project for you to get involved with. And homework is certainly an opportunity for you guys to kind of get involved with the children's work. And if you have any questions about that or you've got any queries, again, feel free to grab me and chat about it. For math work, I'll always send home a paper copy of the work just to make sure that there's no printing requirement for you at home. If they're not in school, I'll always upload a PDF version as well, which you don't necessarily need to print off, but at least then they can access the work, even if they're not there on Friday when it's given out. Key Stage 2 Accelerated Reader, so we do that throughout school. The children have access to Accelerated Reader now. You can find their credentials inside their reading record. The sticker is in every single one of their reading records. Made sure that was done on Friday. So if they are struggling to log on, you will be able to access the specific URL that they need and their credentials from there as well. It follows a pretty straightforward pattern. They undertake a star reading assessment, which for the vast majority of the children has now been done. There's a couple of people that still need to do that. We had some issues just with the hardware, so the number of Chromebooks that were available at the time. But the vast majority of the children have had that done now, which will give us their reading age, their ZPD, which enables us to then target books that are at the right level for them. They read those books and they should then take a quiz at the end of it. If they pass the quiz, then they will receive words and points, which can put towards prizes. As a school, we have our Accelerated Reader leaderboard and Word Millionaires, as I'm sure you're all aware. We also have our own in-class Year 5 leaderboard, which I create, and there are some prizes there which I provide for the children. That is based on not solely on the number of words that they read, but the effort that they put in. So I wouldn't classify myself as a super duper reader. I do read a fair amount, but not particularly a fast reader. So I want to make sure that all children are incentivized to read, regardless of whether they're reading up to 1 million words and above or not. And the children are aware of that as well. So there will always be the opportunity for everyone to succeed, not just those that are absolutely fabulous readers. Luckily, in that class, pretty much everyone's attempted a quiz now, and lots of great readers. So yeah, it's been a real pleasure to see the children coming in and telling me how many quizzes and words they're already on, given that we're only in week 3 now. Our key stage reading is aligned to Viper questions, and we have whole class reading once a week. Whole class reading will take on a variety of different texts. Currently, we've looked at some poetry. We're looking at non-fiction for the next couple of weeks, tying into our computing curriculum. And our English lessons are always focused on a key text. We're currently reading a text that I'm pretty sure many of you will have studied at school as well, which is Good Night, Mr. Tom. In fact, I know for a fact that many of you have, because your children have told me that you have done it, and some people have, unfortunately, given their children some spoilers about what's going to happen later on in the book. I'm only kidding. It's great to see that they're going home energized and talking to you about their English lessons. So I'm really happy about that. Our curriculum, as I mentioned, at the moment, we're focused on Good Night, Mr. Tom. We'll then move on to the viewer after half term. Spring term, we've got Dark, Sky Park and the Highwayman, and then Street Child and London Eye Mystery to finish off the school year, which feels like a long way away, but I'm sure it'll be here on us before long, not too long. We're currently on just words. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 other focuses for spelling. Handwriting, cursive writing is our big push for the year, as indeed is kind of presentation on the whole. We do handwriting every Friday but the children get plenty of opportunity to practice handwriting in different subjects. Grammar focused. We're currently looking at past and present tense, simple, progressive, and perfect. Moving on to adverbials next week, and modal verbs to come. As you can see, commas for clarity and parentheses to follow. In terms of how you can help at home, spelling sheds there for spelling. Some children will find that their spelling shed has been aligned to help them with spelling focus outside of our classroom. So if again, I wouldn't classify myself as a particularly good speller, but spelling shed is focused to each child to make sure that they are accessing spelling that is at their level, so that nobody feels that they're disheartened when they go on there and see a load of words that they don't feel comfortable or confident in spelling. In terms of how you can help them, again, reading at home is a huge one, reading with your children, and getting involved in any English homework that's set would be a big help. In terms of maths, just to give you an overview, we do follow the White Rose scheme in terms of the way that the curriculum is planned. So you can see they're currently working on place value. By the end of Christmas, we should have finished fractions. So as you can see, if you want to view this, you can access the kind of curriculum map at this level of detail from the White Rose Maths website. Because we follow that scheme doesn't mean that that's all we do. We try to include as many different practical activities as possible, including playing games, getting outside the classroom as well. In terms of how you can help at home, you can access MathShed through EdShed, and you will be able to find lessons and content which is aligned to what they're currently studying. So if you go to MathShed and find the correct phase, you will find work there for them. Anyone who needs any help with that, again, feel free to grab me and I can show you kind of where to look and how to find that. Timetables Rockstars is another good one. And there's also a BBC app called Guardians of Mathematica, which is a kind of gamified maths tool, which again, you will be able to find other children because they'll probably, once they find it and get used to using it, will be better at using it than most adults, including myself. That is full of fun games for them to play, and hopefully then they play the games and don't realise that they're actually learning about place value and fractions and so on and so forth. So yeah, it doesn't have to be boring, if you will. I love maths, and there's plenty of fun games out there to play. Science, currently working on electricity. We'll also focus on light after half term. Spring term, evolution, inheritance, animals, including humans and cells, to come after that. In terms of how you can help at home, there's a couple of really good websites for education outside of the classroom and indeed in the classroom. I use both of these tools in the classroom. They are free to use. Explorify is a really good website. It's full of different investigations. You will be able to find investigations and activities that align specifically to what the children are currently studying. But if you want to explore different things with them, you absolutely can. So I really would recommend Explorify at home. And if you want to get practical, Wow Science is another really good one, which is more kind of general fun activities that you can do outside of the classroom, including things like rockets, different kind of chemicals, making lava lamps, making things float in water halfway up a cup and things like that. And the idea is that it kind of sparks their interest in science and indeed in kind of investigation. And it really does make kind of science really fun and practical and messy. But yeah, I would really highly recommend those two tools. And just to be clear, most of the things that I'm going to share with you today are free to use, so you don't have to pay to access the tools that I'll share with you. If they are paid for, then I'll make you aware of that as well. Currently looking at World War II in history. We'll then move on to Britain after 1945, and summer we're looking at education. In terms of how you can help at home, conversations with elderly relatives is really key. So you're enabling them to compare kind of different elements of their life and from now and then. I do that with the children anyway. We were talking today about the corner shop. So it was actually during English we were talking at William was in the corner shop with Mr. Tom, and we were talking about sweets. So we were discussing kind of what sweets were available when I was their age and how much they cost, and they couldn't believe that you could buy 12 sweets with 12p, for example. So there's lots of interesting conversations that can be had with even with you, but obviously further back in history. And I do know already that lots of people are already on that. People coming in and telling me that their gran or granddad were involved in the Second World War and can still remember this and still remember that. So I appreciate that. A lot of this might be overkill, and you might think, well, I'm already doing that. In which case, great. This is just for anyone who might need a bit of free information. There's plenty of free of charge museums that you can access. I'm based in Lancaster, so apologies if a lot of the museums are kind of Lancaster based, and I appreciate that. Travel is involved. Lancashire Police Museum is really good. It's accessible through the castle, completely free of charge. The Maritime Museum down on the front is also free of charge. They have lots of different activities and different views on history, more kind of locally focused as well. The Maritime Museum's looking at slavery and the impact in this area is really interesting. And the Lancaster Museum in the centre of town is another free museum. They tend to have a different exhibition on, so really good to just kind of keep an eye on what's going on there. And if you just for anyone who have travel issues or appreciate you're all busy people and have lots of different things to do at the weekends, You're Dead to Me is a BBC podcast. Make sure you access the radio edit, which is suitable for children. We'll look at different ages through history. I'm sure you will learn lots of things. I listen to it myself. But there is a child-friendly version of it, and it's fun and it's interesting. I think the guy who runs it, if memory serves me correctly, is one of the main historians for horrible histories. So if your kids like horrible histories, they will most definitely like You're Dead to Me. I'm just going to switch my camera off because I have to get rid of someone who's trying to join the meeting. Sorry about that. So yeah, history, lots of free museums, conversations with your children and indeed with elderly relatives. And if you're interested, stick it on in the car. You're Dead to Me. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Geography, we're currently focused on the Northwest. We'll move on to Lake District tourism in the spring term, and then climate zones in summer. Lots of different ways you can help your children when it comes to geography. For the wider world, Nat Geo Kids is really interesting. Wordle is a really fun game to play. It gives you the outline of a country, and then you have to try and guess the country from that. It will then give you the distance and the direction to the country that you are looking for. So it's a really good tool to help children kind of get to grips with where they are in the world and where countries are in the world in comparison to other countries. So that's a really, really fun game to play. And again, it's free. We are currently working on map skills, so the children should be confident on grid references. So if you are outside doing activities that involve maps, going on hikes, things like that, get the children involved with the maps because they will be comfortable using it, and they will get a lot of opportunities to practice those skills. So if you can also give them that opportunity outside of school, that would be really beneficial. Ordnance Survey, I subscribe to their service. It does include things like games as well, but that is a paid for service. Wordle is completely free, as is Nat Geo Kids. Religious education, our current focus is the Bible. We'll be looking at the New and Old Testament, kind of compare and contrast, just picking out key stories and key parables from that. We'll then move on to the kind of wider sacred texts or sacred books throughout religion, and then we'll finish off with a local study. In terms of how you can help, open and honest discussions about religion with your children is really beneficial. As are multi-faith calendars, just so that you're aware of different things that might be going on in the area within different parts of our society. There's lots of religious institutions that will open you with open arms if you go and visit. The Priory Church in Lancaster is one that I particularly like. They've always got lots of different activities on there. It's cross-curricular as well. So they had Gaia, the Earth. They've had the Moon there as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be religious based, but at least opening them up to kind of religious buildings, things like that. And if you are a little bit further afield, Ulverston, the Buddhist Centre there is again will open you with open arms and will give you lots of information. I'd also highly recommend the cafe there, which is particularly good. And there's lots of lovely walks you can do from there along the beach. So yeah, if you happen to be in that area, drop in and take a look. P and sport. We're currently looking at netball and badminton before half term, and then dance and OAA afterwards. Gymnastics, orienteering, rugby, and creative games after Christmas, and then tennis, athletics, rounders, and cricket in the summer. I would highly recommend you encourage the children to take part in the clubs that we have ongoing at school. Organised sports is a fantastic way for children to learn teamwork, leadership skills. So there's lots and lots of different sports clubs in school that we'll have access to. So I'd highly recommend them. And any organised sport outside of school is also would also be beneficial.
Mr. Nixon, I'm just
Yeah,
going to jump in there. So
yeah, go ahead.
OAA is outdoor and adventurous activities. So that's things like orienteering, trails, things around the school site, which our children are really good at, and particularly enjoy the use of the orienteering course that we had installed.
Yeah, I think as a school as well, we're really good at encouraging our children to attend sports clubs. I don't see that as a particular issue at our school. I think we had over 100 children taking part in school sports clubs this half term, so we're already really good at that as
Yeah,
well.
I think for me that the clubs are great in terms of developing pupil interest, but they're also good in terms of developing relationships between staff and pupils. So not necessarily the staff that they always work with. And because they're engaging in clubs with children from other year groups as well, it contributes to that ethos of the school and that family atmosphere that we strive to have. So yeah, about 78% of our pupils are engaged in extracurricular clubs this term. That's the most it has ever been. And it's something we put quite a high priority on because it's that wider experience of school.
Yeah, there's also such a variety of clubs for them to attend as well. So they should have an opportunity to do lots of different activities, which I think is really beneficial for the children as well. Moving on to design technology, we will be looking at waistcoats. So actually using materials. I can't remember what the word is now. Textiles. That's come back to me now. And then we're going to be doing one that I've been told by Mr. Smith is a fantastic one, which has come down with me. So we'll be looking at ration based or war based recipes. After Christmas, we'll then look at structures, so home playground, and then steady hand games and automator toys. So lots of a good variety of different projects there. In terms of how you can help at home, there's so many different things you can do for design technology. Spaghetti bridges is a really fun one to do. Getting the children to build truss bridges at home. We've done it. I've done it in school last year with the year fives last year. They really enjoyed it. It's really cost effective. It's not particularly expensive. You only need one bag of spaghetti, and you will be surprised at how much that bridge can hold. Things like knitting and cross stitch are really good as well, just to give children the basics of how to thread a needle is really key, and certainly something that we hope to give them those skills in school as well. So any help that you can give me, so I don't have 17 needles to thread when the time comes in a few weeks, that would be much appreciated. Craft kits, you can buy them online. I appreciate that's a paid for thing. Design projects is a really good one. In terms of designing packaging for food, designing packaging for different games, and cooking at home as well is a really big one and gives children lots of different skills Again, I appreciate that a lot of these things are cost dependent in terms of how much disposable income you have to spare on things like craft kits and what have you. But there's plenty of ones that are not particularly expensive. Computing, you'll notice there's quite a few on here. I am the school's lead on computing, so the curriculum area. So coding is what we're currently working on in relation to Bletchley Park. So lots of ciphers and code breaking. After that, we'll be then looking at Lego We Do, so that will run all the way till Christmas. Lego We Do in the spring term, and then programming music and introduction to Python, which is a specific programming language in the summer term. All of the tools that I'm going to share with you now are free to use online, so they will not cost you a penny. Scratch, is the one that I would recommend least outside of school. It's one that we use in school a lot. Chances are, if your children are accessing at home, they will be playing Scratch games rather than actually going in and remixing, which is the idea behind Scratch. There are lots of other tools that are on screen currently. So Blocky Games is a way for them to design their own games and build them. Kodu gives them the ability to actually build their own environments, so they can, build a deserted island, things like that, and that's really fun. Code for Life, you can build things like. It starts off really simple, but you can do things like build huge delivery relays for. I can't remember the name of the food company now that do deliveries, Odeco or someone like that. Can't remember what they're called. Code.org is a brilliant one, again, that will enable them to build their own computer games. And the UK Bebras Computing Thinking Challenge. Bebras is full of computational thinking challenges. There's lots of competitions and challenges that you can do at home. These are all free tools. If you go online and search for Scratch, Blocky Games, Kodu, code.org, Code for Life, you will find them. You don't have to pay to use them. They are completely free to access. Music.
Just on computing, sorry, Mr. Nixon, if you could
Yeah,
just click back. First of all, I'm always grateful that you're the computing lead, because for a few moments there you were talking a slightly different language to me. And I think that's probably an interesting point. So the children live in this world and their skills, digital natives, their skills are often more advanced than parents. So I would always say certainly more advanced than mine. I would always say to parents, if you've got questions, ask. Hopefully you've seen that as a school, we have subscribed to an online safety newsletter for parents, which comes out each month. That gives us the latest information about kind of challenges and trends that young people are facing online. I can't stress enough how important it is for parents to engage in online safety for their children. So last year with our year 5 cohort, we did have a number of issues with children using Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, and sharing, and indeed sometimes creating inappropriate content. We did contact the parents about that. We subscribed to the online newsletter. And we've also increased the online safety teaching that we now do in school. So online safety was taught as a unit once throughout the year in computing, and then once throughout the year in PSHE, with an assembly on Safer Internet Day. So there were 3 kind of points throughout the year where they engaged with online safety. We've increased that now so that every computing topic starts with work on online safety, as well as what we were doing in PSHE, as well as our assemblies where that's been covered more regularly. This is I think the single biggest challenge that young people face in terms of the impact it can have on their mental health, but also the risk that they can be exposed to. I've done some work around this, but there's a direct correlation between the ownership of smartphones in young people and the deterioration of mental health, because young people are increasingly being exposed to content that they're not emotionally mature enough to deal with. So please don't assume it can't be my child. Unfortunately, if your child has a smartphone, there is a very, very high percentage that they are viewing content that's not appropriate or safe. So please do engage in this work, and we're going to be hosting a session for parents on this as well.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I love about our school is that the children will come to us and tell us about these things. So we do have that relationship with our children, that they will come to us and tell us, that someone has sent them something that's inappropriate, what have you, which is brilliant. Just to add, if you don't currently know or have access to your child's mobile phone, I would make that the first port of call, making sure that you can access their phone. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their privacy, but yeah, make sure that you at the very least have access to their phone, as I'm sure the vast majority of you, if not all of you, do. If you have any questions, I did used to work in software, so my computing knowledge is so a little bit better than Craig, shall we say. So feel free to come and talk to me. If you have, if you if you work in the industry and you've got more resources that you can share with me, then please do come and find me and talk to me about it. In terms of music, currently working on developing melodic phrases and emotions and musical styles. In spring, we'll then look at more kind of specifically looking into chords and performing music, and then summer, exploring key and time signatures and identifying musical elements. I really enjoyed our the musical performance that the children did last year. I saw lots of people who were in year 4 last year at that event, which is great. I'd really encourage you to for your children to take part in music lessons in school. And there is also a choir club which meets every Tuesday. Young Voices, every child who went to Young Voices last year, they will probably have told me and other teachers that that was their highlight of the year. They got to go to Manchester and sing at a huge concert. I don't know what it's called now. It was the MEN when I lived in Manchester, so it'll always be the MEN to me. Is it the Aviva Centre or whatever it's called now? But yeah, I would really highly recommend that they take part in choir or music lessons. Again, appreciate that there is a cost element to that. At home, exposing your children to as many different genres of music as you can would also be of great benefit to them, so that they can start to build an appreciation of different types of music, which we are working on within our assemblies. So different entry music each week, focusing on different elements within society. So we're currently looking at Black History Month. So all of the music that we're currently focusing on in our assemblies are from Black musicians. So it's just opening up our children to different experiences and different styles of music, so that they can really start to appreciate music and hopefully gain a lifelong love of music. I love music. Probably one of my biggest regrets is not learning to play a musical instrument. So I do go to lots of concerts, lots of different music events. I have a huge record collection, but I can't play a musical instrument. So that as I say, is probably one of my biggest regrets. So yeah, please do encourage your children to take part in lessons, and indeed young choir, the choir. Not that you'd want to hear me singing, though. So luckily we have someone else who leads
Mr.
that.
Nixon, it's not too late for you to learn, so that's my first point. And
That's true. That's true.
I would say as well, just so people are aware, Cumbria Music Service, Gemma Nags, comes in. She's a specialist music teacher and teaches our music lessons. And the children in year 5 and 6 cover these topics through learning to play the keyboard, which they love.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. Moving on to art. Currently working on waistcoats. Craig, can you remind me of the name of the local artist that we currently focusing on? I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
So Chaz Jacobs is
Chaz Jacobs, thank you.
Lancaster artist, very colourful pictures, often with hot air balloons in. We're quite excited because he's coming into school to work with the children.
Yeah.
So great experience for them.
Yeah. Spring term we'll be looking at natural sculptures, and then summer term pop art. In terms of how you can help at home, I've just popped Creative West End on there, who are a Morecambe-based creative organisation which is run by local artists. They put on a whole host of free art workshops. Tends to be in the Morecambe and Lancaster area. They are family friendly and they are free. Um, if you can't make it through to one of those events, I would also highly recommend Google Arts and Culture, which is again a free tool that you can use at home, and it gives children the opportunity to visit art galleries virtually. There's different games you can play on there, and it's just exposing them to different artists, different styles of work, and gives them the opportunity to learn more about art history. I love playing on arts and culture myself. It's got a pretty good crossword, so anyone who likes crosswords out there, it's a pretty good one to go at. But it is aimed at children. Hence the reason why I like their crossword. PSHE, we are looking at relationships and sex education this term, health and well-being next term, and living in the wider world in the summer term. That's delivered specifically by Mrs. Burton, who will come in and teach the children that midweek. In terms of how you can help your children at home, having open and honest conversations with them about the curriculum, being open-minded to what they're sharing with you would be of great benefit. I'm sure you're all super duper at that anyway. If you have any questions about what's being covered, please don't hesitate to contact school or myself directly, and happily chat to you about anything that's been covered. I was going to say, have you got anything to add there, Mr. Dewar?
Yeah, so I just had a couple of things. It's always interesting. We do a survey with the pupils fairly regularly about their favourite subjects, and particularly about pupil well-being. So our pupils generally score very, very highly for pupil well-being when compared to other Cumbrian schools. So we're excited about that. But what's interesting is PSHE always comes up as pretty much their favourite subject, except for they don't recognise it as a subject. It's interesting, they'll often say things like, well, it's not really a subject, is it? Because it's just life. You're just learning about life. And the children really do enjoy the discussions and the debates and the conversations. And often a lot of the things that they cover about healthy eating, smoking, drugs and staying safe, the environment. So they're often kind of key issues. Now, in terms of relationships this year, the topic headlet, there's three kind of topics that run through our PSHE curriculum, the three there, but each year it's slightly different. So for relationships this year, the focus is predominantly on managing friendships, how to deal with peer pressure, what peer pressure might feel like, how friendships change over time, and how to maintain healthy relationships in terms of friendships. So that's the focus of the relationships part of the education PSHE curriculum. In terms of the sex and relationships part, the SRE, you will get notified about this nearer the time before it is taught, but this year it covers puberty, essentially. So changing adolescent bodies, recognizing some of the changes as they grow. So not just physical changes, but maturity, responsibility. So that is generally the coverage for year 5 in terms of sex education this year. As I say, before those sessions, parents will be notified of the content and more than happy to discuss that with Mrs. Burton.
Thank you, Greg. Moving on to French. So currently working on sport, football, and the Olympics. We'll then move on to In My French House, holidays in French towns in summer. In terms of how you can help at home, exposing your children to as much French language and pronunciation as you can would be highly beneficial. As you can all hear, me trying to speak French can sometimes be somewhat of a challenge for me. Luckily, we follow the Kapow scheme, which does have specific pronunciation videos for teachers and the pupils, so they are receiving the correct pronunciation. It just happens to have something of a Barovian twang to it. In terms of other ways you can help at home, there's lots of French language songs that are available on Spotify, exposing them to French texts, things like the French comic strips, Asterix, Tintin. You can access them online. You can access them in paperback. But yeah, for me, Spotify is a really good way to do that because there's lots of French language songs on there, which is a really good way for them to pick up the language. I do also have some French websites that you can access for French games and things like that. So if anyone is really interested in helping their children with their learning additional foreign language, then let me know and I can distribute that website with anyone who wants it. It is in French language, so you do need a rudimentary understanding of French to be able to navigate it. But if you do want access to it, let me know and I can share it in some way or another. No problem there. In terms of our educational visits, this term we've got Eden Camp and we also have a grid referencing walk, which I think will be Falton Knot. I think myself and Mr. Smith were talking about that earlier this week. We then got a tourism survey and Lego Weedy Centre in spring term, and then Beamish and a residential in London. We're currently working on booking all trips for the year and to give you information about costs and to give you a decent amount of time to pay for those trips where required. And we do also hopefully have a new minibus arriving imminently, which will enable us to do more local trips out to really enrich our curriculum. If we need to do something map related, getting out of the classroom and out of the school grounds would be really beneficial. Something that's not on here as well, which I think would be really key with the new midi buses, is our bushcraft outdoor education, which every class will be taking part in. Having that minibus also enables us to get the children out into nature and start to build those skills. Our first session, weather permitting, is actually this week with that, but I think the minibus will open up lots of interesting opportunities for us to get the children out and about a bit more and indeed reduce the cost. Because travel, obviously, with fuel prices and what have you, is a big cost to the school in terms of our trips. Assessment, star reading assessment is done on an ongoing basis. As I said, the vast majority of the children, I think it's one or two, that still need to do that who were absent for one reason or another when I did that. We then do an end of unit assessment for every unit within our White Rose curriculum, as well as an assessed piece of writing at the end of every topic. We'll then do assessment pieces for our foundation subjects. So every single subject is assessed in one way or another. That all then leads into my teacher assessment, which is then collated within our systems, and then reports provided to you on a termly basis, and then the full report at the end of the year, just to show you each individual child's target and their progress towards them. In terms of staying in touch with myself, as I've mentioned throughout, you can catch me on the playground at the start or the end of the day for anything that's quick. If it's something then you want to speak to me for a more extended period of time, feel free to book in a telephone call or a face-to-face appointment through the office. It does say on there we do not respond to messages on Class Dojo. I have had a couple of messages recently about can you send me my child's credentials so they can log on to this system or that system. If it's something like that, if it's you just need me to share a bit of information, which is really quick, then that's fine. If it's something above and beyond that, which the wider school need to be aware of, or needs to be recorded slightly differently, then that type of message needs to go through the office rather than myself. But feel free to drop me a message on Class Dojo. But please be aware that that does not mean I will respond to said message. As I say, unless it's something that I can action there and then. That's very quick. One thing that I will do more of now that we've had this meeting is sharing pictures with you, what we've been doing each week. So I have got a few pictures that I can put up onto Class Dojo so you can see what we've been doing. Some of them I've already shared in this PowerPoint, but I'll do the odd photograph upload weekly so you can kind of see what's been going on and enjoy seeing your children's education, and hopefully sharing that with them will then enable you to learn more about what they've learned within the lesson. Which brings us to the end of the PowerPoint and on to questions. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask them now.
Thanks, Mr. Nixon. And thanks for the presentation. Hopefully useful to parents. Just to give you an overview of our curriculum. Now, our curriculum is published on the school website, but if at any point you do want to speak to a member of staff about it, please do. I think we always work better and do our best for the children when we work in partnership, and hopefully us sharing some of our plans for the year allows us to do that better. We have got high expectations for all of our children. We want them all to succeed, but we absolutely want them all to be happy, and that is why our school motto is what it is. So this year we've introduced forest school sessions for every class. We're returning to the half-termly trips as a minimum, and we've invested in the minibus to make sure that we can get out and about and make sure children have a really rich learning tapestry of great experiences. We've also subscribed to a number of different partnerships this year as well, so increasing our sporting provision to make sure that all children get a chance to compete in competitive sports, and also working with the Prince's Trust Institute to make sure we're accessing the latest research around teaching and learning and making sure we're providing the very best for the children. So hopefully that gives you a flavour of what's going on in school, how we're always ambitious and we're always wanting the best for the children. I'm not seeing anyone putting any questions in chat or coming off mute, but as always, our door is open. Please catch us at the start or the end of the day, or indeed pop into the office and ask for an appointment if you need it. We also do the monthly parent cafes as well, where there are members of staff available to chat about any concerns. As always, we'd say, don't sit and stew, just come and talk to us, and let's see if we can solve the problem or the challenge pretty quickly as well. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you.